Buildaid Media, powered by builders and supported by Mix 93.8 FM and SA Garden and Home, are proud to bring you this Homeowners Workshop series. Throughout this 10-part series, we will be showcasing a wide variety of industry specialists to ensure a positive building experience. Charmaine Scheepers from PG Smart Glass discusses the different types of glass available to the homeowner, their advantages and uses, with an emphasis on safety and toughened glass. Your host is Graham Alexander from Buildaid Media.
Charmaine, thanks for coming to chat to us.
Thank you.
Let's start out, Charmaine, by understanding what types of glass there are. You know, one sometimes thinks, well, it's just the see-through stuff that we use in our homes, but there are a lot of smart types of glass. Run us through the most common types.
Okay, thanks for having us here today to represent PG Group. I'm sure you all know the PG Group. It's very much a household name. We've been around for 120 years. So we are reliable. You know, we're still going to be there in 10 years, 15 years' time. We have a huge factory out in Springs. It's called PFG. It's one of the companies under the PG Group umbrella, and that is where we make our glass on the float line. So they combine natural materials like stone, limestone, sand, silica, and it goes into a furnace, comes out and floats on tin rollers, and by the time it reaches the end of 1.2 kilometers, it cools down. That is known as annealed float glass, and that is typically what has been used for many, many years in houses. But it is highly inefficient, and it allows in a lot of heat, and when it's cooler inside the house, you're getting heat coming in, and likewise you lose a lot of heat through that glass going out in the times when you want to actually retain the heat in the house, such as in winter. But we use the float glass and we combine it then into different kinds of other products, so we process that glass. We also import glass, and then we can combine these different products to achieve whatever is required for your specific home. So safety glass is a laminated glass where we take two pieces of glass and we put them together under pressure with a polyvinyl in between, and it becomes fused and it makes a safety glass. But toughened glass is also a safety glass. This is when they take the glass, they pass it through a furnace, and it is heated up very rapidly to a very high temperature of 700 degrees, and then it's cooled down rapidly as well. Now, different glass would be required for different applications, and that's what we're there to help you with. But both of them are safety glass. So we would advise when you should use what glass.
Laminated glass and toughened glass and safety glass in a home, is it marked so that you know, because obviously it's see-through,
Yeah, no.
something needs to tell you that it's safe.
Yes. Okay, all our products are SABS approved and ISO 9001 manufactured according to those standards. All glass is processed also according to the standards of international manufacturers such as Saint-Gobain. And the glass is actually stamped with an SABS stamp as soon as it has been processed completely and manufactured to what it needs to be. So it's very important when you have safety glass in your home to check that every single piece of glass in your home is stamped accordingly. So for example, a safety glass, they would sometimes put a number 1 in the corner to indicate that it's a safety glass. If it's a 2, that indicates that it's a stronger glass. When you laminate up, you can put more vinyls in between. You may have a scenario where you, on a golf course, on an estate, and we get a lot of homeowners asking for a stronger glass for security reasons. So that glass would then be marked accordingly to that.
Charmaine, back to planning. So at the beginning, homeowner, architect have some kind of a sketch together, maybe a couple of pictures and a model. And with a lot of building materials and building components, they begin as lines and pictures without understanding a window frame has some kind of glass in it that needs to perform certain functions. So I've just made a note that you could up front, if you get to the planning as soon as you can, kill 3 birds with one stone. One would be comfort, obviously. The other would be budget, because now I'm picking this kind of window with this kind of glass. And then the third one, Charmaine, is fenestration is regulated. It's very well regulated. If you design a home and you stick a window in here and one there and one there, the architect has to go and work out all the energy efficiency calcs and laws. If it doesn't conform, you've got to change it. So, Michelle, is that a fair comment? Comfort, budget, regulation. When should the homeowner start thinking about this?
It's a very important question because a lot of homeowners don't think about it until the end. You know, they think glass is glass is glass. But I think everybody here today is more aware of energy efficiency and so on. And these regulations have been in place for about 5 years now. And so they are being enforced. And a very important thing to consider is that when you buy a property, it's obviously one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make in your life, and it's probably the biggest asset you'll ever own. So first of all, if you're going to be living in it, you want to enjoy it. So the comfort really is very important because you also want a return on your capital. So by using the correct glass, you will actually be saving costs on energy, the use of electricity and so on. So all these things are really to be considered at the on conception stage when you start thinking what kind of house you want, how you want it to look. All of these should be discussed with your architect up front because it's his responsibility to do those calculations for you. Now, we only make glass, so we can assist to a degree. We do have a sister company, Primador. They make ready-made windows and doors. Whether it's double glazed or single glazed, we can assist with the aluminium there. So they then can assist you with those calculations and the architect to see where you're going. By doing that, you're going to get your budget up front, a more realistic budget. We can look at the window sizes and say, okay, you're going to need a thicker glass here for regulations, and then we can assist you that way.
So back to fenestration, Charmaine. Fenestration is a fancy word for windows and doors combined, but it's from an external point of view, so it doesn't count the door into your bed, internal door to the bedroom. So fenestration is frames and glass. There are other considerations or important considerations when it comes to fenestration, and there are a couple that are on the screen right now. Just run us very quickly through those other important issues.
Yeah, these are all points that needs to be taken into consideration and are actually part of the calculations when you do the energy efficiency, working out what you require. So the first thing is air and water infiltration. This is very important because, for example, steel frames, they're very, very bad insulators. The air, they never straight, they don't fit properly. So you would sit in your lounge and you can actually see your curtain moving because there's air coming in. And the average is 2 liters per second. Now, if that were water coming into your house, you would probably have a hernia and jump up and down. But because it's air, we've lived with it all the time. So the regulation goes around really insulating the house because it's easier to cool it down with natural ventilation than it is to warm it up when it's cold. So it's far more difficult to heat the house up. So water and air infiltration, obviously the water's obvious, but the air infiltration is very, very important there. So we need to try and cut that out. So insulation is your U value. You can talk about that with me if you need to understand the U value more, but it goes around insulating the house. And we apply coatings to the glass to achieve that, so that we stop that transfer of heat going out of the house. And then the direct shortwave that comes in with the solar heat gain. So you've got heat coming in. So we also have coatings on the glass where that actually is facing the outside of the building, and that helps to reject some of the heat so that it doesn't go directly into your house. And bear in mind that heat and solar energy and heat and light are all related to each other. So traditionally in the past, products, when they had a better shading, so in other words, they kept out more heat to prevent it from coming into the house, they would generally go darker and become more reflective. So all those buildings you see in Joburg with that highly reflective glass, they're very good at keeping the solar heat out because they were highly reflective. but they were very bad insulators. So they run at huge costs to run those buildings to warm them up. And that's where we're at the moment to try and change that. So the products that we've made are very clear. So you've got huge amounts of light coming in, but they're highly selective because the coatings keep out a lot of the heat at the same time. So you're getting the best of both worlds. So, but that is taken into consideration when they do the energy efficiency calculations. Shading devices, I don't think many people want to live in a house where you have louvers over your windows. So, but that is a very important factor. And for example, when they do that calculation, if your window were 1 meter wide, you then need to make sure that your shading device extends on either side of that window by another meter on either side as well. And then the orientation, as we did discuss.
I think we touched on
Yes.
how important it is to position the home
Yes.
in the right place. We touched on safety a little while ago, Charmaine, but just one other thing on safety is there's a relatively new regulation in bathrooms. So if you're renovating a bathroom, bearing in mind if you renovate a home, we've already established you have to have plans drawn and approved. If you renovate a home, SANS 10400 XA comes into play, the latest regulations. And one of the regulations is safety in a bathroom. So tell us
The regulation is that any glazing within 1.8 meters of a bath or a window, an external the external window from the bath, needs to be safety glazing. So in the past, what they have done is the regulation said that it was a height of 1 meter. So what they used to do is generally your bath's about 800. So that would make it too low. So they would have to put safety glazing if you had a window right on the bath overlooking the golf course. So what they were doing is just putting another brick on there and tiling it, and then it would make it higher than 1 meter. But it's still very, very dangerous because most places when you're going to slip are in the kitchen or the bathroom. So a shower as well has to be safety glazing, so 1.8 meters from the bath. So generally, you're not going to have such big bathrooms. I would just suggest that any glass within your bathroom should be safety glazing.
Then obviously there's balustrades and so on, but let's have a look at energy efficiency. And I think, Michelle, let's try and avoid going through the technicalities here, but rather the concept that different glasses, glazing have different performances.
Yes.
As a concept.
Well, what we did is just to explain these figures to you, because you'll see there's names there like Superior, Elite, and Plus. These products all perform at different levels and would be collated with and according to what your energy efficiency calculations come out at. So the U value is giving you the indication of what degree of insulation you are achieving. So the lower the U value, the better it is. Also, the lower your solar heat gain, the better the glass is performing. So you'll see that varies quite a lot, going up to Superior being the best product. So how we worked it was we did research and we worked it according to sizes of houses and generally how much glass to floor area you would have. So we've basically tried to slot those in to specific values of houses, sizes of houses, styles of houses, so that it's easier for the architect to take a product and say, okay, it should be that one. We would advise and assist him, and then he could plug those in so he could get to those results in a much easier and quicker way. And it would give you what you're wanting, the clear glass, because you don't want to look out of your, he might do a calculation, we see it every day, and then it's grey glass. You don't want grey glass in your house. You want to be able to see it quite clearly.
Let's have a look at the next slide, which we mentioned earlier with conductance, heat transfer through a solid material, and glass is a good conductor. So when we say good conductor, that's bad for insulation. But what's important here, Charmaine, is we're looking at call it a solid piece of glass, but something that's relatively new in South Africa and something you guys are pioneering with one of your brands is the use of double glazing. And it's becoming a lot more cost efficient than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago. So maybe just to understand, maybe not so much what's going on the left, I think that's clear on the slide, but the double glazing.
Okay, the only time that you can change a U value is by applying different coatings or changing the bridge between the inside and the outside of the house. So when you do double glazing, you are inserting a bridge. You can see there's a bar there in the middle. It's two pieces of glass put together, and in the middle is a spacer bar. So that is creating a gap which is vacuumed out. So there's no air in there, there's nothing. It's just dense. So you are now creating something that is a barrier so that the heat cannot transfer in and out. So the double glazing that we are making is very cost effective because we do use toughened glass, and the coatings on the glass do assist with the insulation as well as the solar heat gain.
Specifications up front. We touched on it, Charmaine, at the beginning, where you could kill 3 birds with one stone. Saying, talk about the comfort between the homeowner and the architect. Talk about the budget. If we're going to use double glazing and we want to face the house west or north, can do all of these things up front. And I know we're going to emphasize it a few times this morning, but use specialists. And if you don't know who these specialists are, use a book like this planning guide. You'll know there's kitchens, there's bricks, there's all sorts of materials and systems that experts can help you with. And get involved. It's fun. And it's free.
Thanks for joining us. If you would like to watch any more of the workshops in the Homeowner series, follow the Buildaid YouTube channel or visit our website, buildaid.co.za, where you can view a full range of our product offering. To book your seat at our next workshop, visit caxtonevents.co.za. Don't forget to tune in to Mix 93.8 FM Wednesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. to listen to the Buildaid show.